So we have seen like a stoppage of the flows out of the Strait of Hormuz, and on the gas LNG perspective, this is quite a big event. Strait of Hormuz, which includes supply from Qatar and UAE, accounts for about 20% of global LNG supply. So we're kind of entering an unprecedented era, much larger, in my opinion, than what we saw in the Ukraine Russia crisis. We see this year, Japan's LNG demand to be lower than last year because of the nuclear restarts and higher renewable penetration in the country, and also the demographics of the lower population and such, affecting a lower energy demand in the short term. So I'm not saying that's shielded from what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, but it does help fundamentally that demand has been structurally lower in these countries with the start of nuclear restarts. Already 20% of the supply from Qatar and the UAE is affected, and on top of that, if Russia gets affected, they're already feeling the sanctions, but on top of it, Japan does depend quite a bit on Russian, cargoes from Sakhalin and Yamal and other projects. So that would again make Japan rely on the spot market on other cargoes with already a very tight market. If this crisis is prolonged, around 20% of global supply is very hard to replace, even with a growing market with new supply coming out of the U.S. So I think what she's replying to is obviously non-Qatar UAE cargoes. So there will be any flexible spot cargoes you can find from the U.S. or Australia, or any Atlantic cargoes from West Africa is I think what she's referring to. The developing countries in Asia will not be able to afford this expensive cargoes, and we'll have to start, demand destruction on the other side of the equation, and burning other kind of fuels for power. So you're seeing a lot of different dynamics right now, and the good story is that the U.S. LNG is expanding. So a lot of the flexible U.S. FOB cargoes, maybe West African cargoes, will be making its way over to Asia, as there will be more pull. At the absolute worst case, right? Half a year to a year of stoppage, and at that point, there's not enough supply to make up for it in the market. So you're gonna start to see not only just very high prices for Asia, but also for Europe, and you're just gonna see demand destruction like we saw in 2022. Especially in countries like Pakistan and Indonesia, Bangladesh will start to have to, they won't be able to attract the cargoes, and their energy demand will be demand. There'll be demand destruction on the other side.